In today's video, we will be unboxing and taking an overview of the CiT Level 1 PC case. Now this PC case is a micro ATX case and it's got that whole ARGB goodness as well. So it's got the two ARGB fans at the front with the one at the back. And it's got your modern features as well, like your tempered glass, the PSU shroud, and support for pretty decent long graphics cards. So overall, yeah, I think this is going to be a nice little case. So yeah, just before we get into it, I just want to say I hope everyone had a great Christmas and Happy New Year, as I am going to release this on the 1st of January as a new video for the new year to start us off. So I thought we'd start off straight away, no bucking around. I took a little bit of a break sort of around the end of December and so I do apologise that I maybe didn't have a video for a little while, but here we go. Let's start again, new year, let's go again. Hopefully this is a big year for the channel and we'll keep pushing on, guys, hey? So yeah, let's crack on with the unboxing and hopefully the microphone doesn't get in the way. So here it is, guys, the CiT Level 1 case, micro ATX, as I said. This one's in black. This is the one with the tempered glass at the front as well, so not mesh. Kind of wanted to go for the tempered glass purely for aesthetics, just to kind of, as I'm PC flipping obviously, so I just kind of think, although the mesh is probably better and would be my personal choice, I just think with the fans, with the glass and the fans just look so much better when you're flipping PCs rather than the mesh and the fans, because I find the mesh doesn't bring out the fans and doesn't bring out the fans as well as what the glass does. So that's just a preference from PC flipping that I've chosen. But you can get this in the mesh front rather than the glass front as well. But anyway, like I said, this is the case. And it hasn't got a full tempered glass on the side panel either. But overall, I do think it's going to be potentially quite a nice case. But as always, if you haven't seen one of my case unboxing videos, what we do is we go to the front, to the top, to the rear side of the I/O, the underside of the case, then the rear panel. So we open up that and see what the cable management is like. And then we talk about the front here with the front glass and the front tempered glass and the internal storage that you have inside and internal room that you have inside for your components. So without further ado, let's go. So obviously, first of all, as I was saying, this is a glass front. Two options, obviously mesh or glass. And it comes with two 120mm fans pre-installed, which are RGB. Although I believe it is ARGB and you can connect it into an ARGB connector, but we'll have a look when we take off the rear panel for that side, how it connects up. I think it is just a one SATA connection. There's no separate fan hub either. So if you are thinking of maybe adding ARGB fans to this unit, this isn't the right sort of case for you. Really, this is a budget flipper case, really. And talking about budget, I actually, for a change, I actually brought this off Scan, and it was £40, which isn't the cheapest, but is not bad for a flipping case. Wait, sorry, that was a bit of a joke. It's not bad for a flip case, is it? So it's okay price, I think. You could get other options, but you can maybe pay. Some people might want to pay a little bit more, but for a very budget PC, I think £40 for paying £40 for a flip case is fine for a budget PC, up to probably about £300. But I think once you're getting over that sort of £300 mark, I probably would maybe think about buying a little bit better case. But this is still a perfectly adequate case. I mean, even if you did put in higher end components in, it's still perfectly capable of handling that. So even if you did want to go up to like a £500 PC with this case, you could as well. So that's fine. There are other options on the market, but I do think this is a good option. I mean, like I said, I do like the styling here at the front. I mean, this might not be for everyone. I think it's okay. I do think the glass kind of dominates this, and then obviously you've just got the sort of solid out pieces there, and it looks fine. So yes, talking about the front again, the front fans, there's two 120mm fans pre-installed, RGB fans, although you can replace them with two 140mm fans if you wanted to instead, if you want to put in your own. So two 120mm or two 140mm fan support is supported here. Now for radiators, the front radiator is only 240mm, I think. Let me have a look. Yeah, it's only up to 240, so you won't be able to put a 280mm radiator in here. I don't really know why that is. Probably some kind of clearance issue with the top, I would think, because this is a fairly small case as well. Don't know whether it's going to come up on the camera very well, but this is kind of fairly small, fairly compact and small, so there's probably clearance issues why you can't fit in a 280 in. But yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. Again, I think most people are just going to keep the default fans in here, so I don't really see a problem with that. Maybe the fan support isn't good enough for a lot of people and they will want to get another case, but again, this is a flip case and really it is only for sort of budget PCs, and at that level I don't think people are going to take out the fans and put in their own and what have you, so I think that's fine. So the top comes with a front mesh sort of cover, dust cover sort of thing, and we have again support for two 120mm fans or two 140mm fans at the top. And the top, surprisingly, does actually support up to a 240mm radiator as well. And looking at the clearance though, you don't really have that much clearance. You have a little bit, but it's not fantastic. So just be aware, you might have to look up, if you are going to put a top radiator in, you might have to look up your exact model and see if it's going to actually fit or not, because some models are a little bit bigger than others. But anyway, again, I think most people aren't going to bother with radiators with this sort of case anyway, so again, it's a budget PC, so I don't really expect that to be too much of an issue. But if putting lots of radiators into your PC is certainly something you want to do and you want to go down the water cooling route, then certainly this case is not for you at all. I would highly suggest this as an air cooling case only, really, to use with CPU air coolers and that sort of stuff. So the front I/O is actually kind of nicely placed down the side here as well, and that actually connects to the back of the case, so it's actually quite nicely cable managed and stuff. So we'll have a look at that when we move on to the cable management side, and then we'll just talk about the buttons. So big clicky power button first. So that's actually quite nice. Again, this is a budget case, so we do have limitations here. So we only have one USB 3 ports, which isn't great on the front, with two USB 2 ports as well. So technically you get 3 USB ports, but obviously only one of them is USB 3 port, so not great, but you do get the 3 ports, I guess, so more ports is always good, so not too bad. Separate headphone and microphone jack, which is what I like to see, and then I believe that is it's a reset button there, but I believe the reset button is actually programmed into the sort of changing the colors for your fans rather than the actual reset on your motherboard, but we'll have a look at that when we get into the inside of the case. So the rear of the case can only support one 120mm fan, and there is one pre-installed there, so the 2 fans at the front with the one at the back. Both all 3 of them are RGB as well, so that's nice. Again, I don't think many people are going to mess with this configuration. They're just going to build their PC with the current fans installed, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. The motherboard I/O shield is there, which is just standard. And annoyingly, again, as you kind of know by now, guys, if you've watched enough of my videos, I don't really like these snap out PCI plates, but they are what they are, and they're one-time snap off and can't be replaced unless you get an actual replacement one. You buy a separate replacement one for it. So annoying, it is annoying, but again, it's a budget case, so that's going to happen. And then we do have one of these sort of like holder thing, so you can kind of hold in your graphics cards a little bit easier and what have you, which is okay, but I don't love these things, but it'll do. And then moving on to the power supply basement. The power supply can only be put fan side down. You can't go fan side up because the screws here are only set into a certain pattern, which is only going to fit the fan side down because there's only 4 of them. You need 8 you need 8 different screws, screw holes to actually do fan side up, but obviously fan side up is not supported here. So again, pretty standard. And on the bottom side or underside of the case, we do have one of those fiddly dust filters. To be honest, I don't want to get it out this time because they are a nightmare. They always keep getting out. But yeah, just one of those annoying sort of dust filters that doesn't pull out like that. It kind of, comes out like, you have to pull it out. But for maintenance, that's not great, but it's okay because I don't think many people are going to maintain their case anyway if they're at the budget end. So yeah. That is what it is. Quite nice feet here, quite big, about certainly a good inch there, maybe even 3 centimeters or 4 centimeters even. And it's even got padding there at the bottom, if you can just see there's a bit of padding there. So it isn't going to scrape across your desk, and it's not going to leave marks across your desk because it's got a bit of padding just before the feet. So that's really nice actually to see. Again, little sort of things like this. I do think CiT is actually quite a nice... quite a decent brand actually for the budget cases. I'd say CiT and Montech are kind of the ones I kind of go to for budget PC cases at the moment, because I do feel they're kind of leading the pack. Ions is pretty good as well, but I do think what CiT and Montech are doing is kind of better than the others at the moment. MSI is pretty good as well, but yeah. Anyway, for the budget end, I do think CiT is kind of where you're going to be looking at, because they're just kind of they're just very cheap and just get the job done, so that's fine. And then we do have the hard drive cage here, which has got 2 screws. So if you remove those 2 screws, then you can take the hard drive cage out, which is probably what most people would do, because let's be fair, hard drives are kind of thing of the past now, aren't they? So it's all SSDs now really, and hard drives have kind of had their day. So yeah, that's pretty much the underside now. So again, as we all know, when we're opening the rear panel by now, if you see my videos obviously, cable management is always an issue in these budget cases, and it's kind of the make and break between a budget case which you can use for flipping and one which you're just not going to use at all. So let's have a look. First of all, let's look at the cable management, and well, looks adequate if I'm going to be honest. I think that's probably about as far as I could kind of go. Yeah, not overly impressed. There's not that much room. There's enough room. There's probably I would say 2 centimeters there, I'd say, of room. Probably adequate enough. If you are going to run your 24 pin on the inside of one of these holes to put your 24 pin cable into there, you're not going to have a lot of room. But if you're going to put it into the second one, you've got a little bit of a punch back, or like a pullback from the actual tray, so it goes back a little bit deeper. So you should have that little bit extra room. So I'd probably advise, if you're going to have one of those big fat 24 pins, just try and put it up to this one instead of that one. Again, it's not great if I'm being honest, guys. The cable management side, there's enough. You might want to take off this SSD sort of caddy thing to hold your SSDs, because that might give you a little bit extra room as well for your cables. But yeah, not fantastic. But anyway, I think you can do it, but it's just going to be tight there. So this is the bag of screws. Let's have a look at that. So a couple of cable ties there, about 5 of them I think, and sort of all the screws. They've even got like mounting for like a for your radiators and stuff, those longer screws. So I think there's more than enough screws and everything there, which is adequate for building your PC, so that should be fine. Then we get this. Then we get the CiT Level 1. I've kind of ripped it, but anyway. The sort of like manual, just to kind of connect up everything and what have you, and it says where you're going to put everything. and what screws to use and everything. So nice little thing for beginners there. But I think a lot of people, I mean, it depends. I think a lot of people, maybe this is going to be their first budget PC which they're going to sort of build, and their first sort of trying to build in a PC if they're going to build their own PC. So I can kind of get that. But I think for experienced builders, that isn't required. But it is nice to have. It is nice to have a bit of an instruction manual just to follow along with. So yes, as I said, 2 SSDs can be mounted at the back here with this little caddy thing. But you can take out that screw, and that will come out as well. So if you just don't want that, or if you want to put like an ARGB controller in or something like that, you can do that there. Personally, I wouldn't go with SSDs at the back mounted like this. I just don't like the kind of mounting for the cables and stuff. I would prefer to put them into the actual hard drive cage instead, personally. But I believe SSD wise, yeah, so support for your SSDs and hard drives is 2 SSDs are supported and 2 hard drives, like 3.5-inch hard drives, are supported, and then the 2.5-inch SSDs are, as well. So 4 drives in total is perfectly adequate. You can get a hard drive at the bottom, and then you can fit a SSD or a hard drive at the top of the cage, if you can see that there, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully you can see that on the camera there, but that's that cage there for the to mount the SSD there, or the hard drive there, and then the hard drive is just below that, and that's only a hard drive below that. So let's have a look at the cables. So as I predicted, we do have just the SATA cable, SATA power cable that connects from your power supply to this cable, which supplies the power for the fans. So I believe that does the power in order to spin them round, as well as the RGB at the same time. So no separate sort of like 3-pin and then 4-pin ARGB connectors. So if you are looking for a separate system, which probably some people are nowadays and expecting that system, that's not going to be with this case, so just be aware. But if you are a PC flipper and you're using like an older motherboard, this is going to be perfect, because you can just plug in your SATA cable and everything works fine. So that's going to be easy for PC flippers and system builders. And yes, as I predicted, the reset cable, the reset button is actually put onto the fans, so the switching of the colours for the fans. So again, that's going to be really great for system builders, because you don't need to touch it, and the fans can be changed. You can change the colours with the reset button, so that's going to be fine for most people. And then we do have the power LED connectors with the hard drive LED connectors, as well as the power button, which is, I don't know where. Here. Yeah, the power switch button as well. So obviously you don't need to connect the reset switch to this one, because it's, unless you want to, you can take it out of this. It does come out there, and then you just plug it into your motherboard instead if you want the reset switch functionality. But I don't think many people are going to use that nowadays anyway, so that's fine. Then we do have a USB 2 connector here, which again has got this ketchup and mustard cable kind of rubbish, but doesn't matter too much. It's a budget case, so we can kind of let it go, but I don't like seeing this. The HD audio connector again, which is the same with that coloured cable in, which is not great. Now the USB 3 connector is quite nice, because it's actually all blacked out, so that's nice. Even the connector's blacked out as well, which is quite good. I mean, the USB 3 connector being blue isn't a problem, but it's kind of nice. I think it's nicer having it blacked out, but anyway. So that's the cabling at the back. Again, pretty standard. Pretty standard for most cases now. I do like how the cabling is all here across there, and the buttons are across there, so that behind the actual case, all the wires are behind the actual motherboard tray, and you haven't got wires kind of coming out from the front here down to the side, which looks a bit clumsy and a bit kind of unprofessional, and a bit doesn't look as neat really. So when you're building a PC, that's kind of nice to have all the cables tucked behind the motherboard tray, so obviously people viewing the PC at the front can't see that. Again, power supply width is actually pretty standard, about 160, 170, I think, for your clearance before your hard drive cage. I believe the hard drive cage can be moved. Let's have a look. Okay, no, the hard drive cage can't be moved, so you can't move it back further. But I think for most people, this is going to be fine. Although potentially you can take out the hard drive cage actually, and then just mount an SSD at the bottom if you wanted to. If you want to do that, but personally, I'll just stuff all the cables under the hard drive cage here, and then I just put the SSD on top. That's what I would do. So, and again, enough cable routing sort of points, enough cable tie down points here to kind of do a nice enough cable management job. It's not the best. You are going to struggle a little bit with cable management, but I think you've got just about enough room to kind of do an okay job there. So we've taken off the glass. I would recommend putting the case down because it's one of those 4 screw and then it kind of comes off sort of thing, which really is not the preferred method, I have to say. But again, this is a budget case and always going to be some drawbacks. So 4 screws, each at one corner, then it comes out the glass. And again, the glass is only like up to the power supply shroud. It doesn't go the full glass. So some people won't mind that, but some people, that might be a deal breaker and they don't like that. But I'm perfectly fine with that. Again, a little bit of cost cutting is fine. So pretty much like a standard layout as you'd kind of expect for this sort of case. The internals are quite generous in terms of the sizes and clearances and everything. As I said, we do have those cable routing holes here, which are quite nice. So you should be able to, even if you've got an extended micro ATX board, you should be fine. And again, going back to those support for the motherboard, this is ITX and micro ATX only. No ATX support for ATX motherboards. That's out, obviously. We do have a big CPU cutout here, so if you've installed your motherboard and you want to change out your CPU cooler, you'll be able to do that quite comfortably. Be able to take out any mount at the back and then put in a new mount and what have you, so that should be fine. Some good cable routing holes at the bottom here to bring your cables through, if you can see that on the camera, hopefully. There's no separate one for like your graphics card cable, your PCIe cable to come out to like there. So obviously you will have to like route it through the side or one of the other holes here or something. So not great, but that is what it is. There is a little bit of like I think there's an ability to actually mount 2 120mm fans at the bottom here in the PSU shroud. Not that I don't think anyone's really going to, but that is a possibility, I think, if you want to. And you potentially might even get an SSD there as well or two. So I don't know exactly. It's not supported. It's not officially supported, but you probably could get an SSD there if you wanted to. But again, I think most people are just probably going to have one SSD nowadays anyway, so I don't really see that being a problem with. There's more than enough SSD support in this case already, so you won't need to do that really. So the CPU cooler support is actually very good here, of 175mm in maximum height. So that's from the tray up to the actual glass, so that's actually really nice because a lot of coolers nowadays are kind of like around that 150 to 155 sort of height, so you're going to fit most of those thermal-right coolers in, like tower coolers, and pretty much anything, maybe even those noctua coolers as well, if you want to go more of a premium build and you want to go up to those bigger noctua coolers, which I think are around 170 or so you should be able to get them in even as well. So great support there for the CPU tower cooler support, so that's great to see, because a lot of cases kind of skimp on that and are only about 160mm or even sometimes 155, and it gets a bit tight with your clearances for your tower coolers, so that's nice to see. And then for our graphics card, we have 330mm here, so about 13 inches. So that's really great if you are going to put in those big 40 series cards. So, this case can do that. This case is capable of actually housing a very capable and very high-end PC if you really wanted to. It's not like it couldn't. The support is there. Like I say, you could have a big tower cooler. Maybe you've got like a Ryzen 7 5800X, or even maybe 5900X or something sort of top end. Maybe even some of those AM5 sort of CPUs, and you've got a big tower cooler on there, and then you've got the big 40 series card like your 4070 or something. That can all be done here if you want to, and it does look like clearance wise from the where the graphics cards ends up to the glass here, there looks like plenty of room. So I think even if you're worried about the thickness of your card in terms of the actual sort of width of the card, you should be fine even with this case as well, because those 40 series cards are quite wide, aren't they, guys? So you should even be fine there. So I believe unless obviously people can put me right if not, but I believe the RTX 4070s, maybe even 4080s, and maybe even 4090s potentially might even fit in here as well. But if anyone has any more information, then let me know in the comments. But yeah, I think pretty much graphics card support should be pretty good in this case. 330mm, I believe, is pretty much any card more or less on the market. There might be some which are bigger, which maybe get to the 340 or even the 350, but I think for most people that's going to be fine. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys think, really? I mean, I think certainly for £40, this looks like a decent flip PC case, sorry. It's got everything pre-installed, all the fans are pre-installed, you literally just put in the SATA connector and then you're away. I mean, it looks pretty easy to build in. The pre-installed standoffs are all there as well, and the middle one even has one of those little kind of nooks as well. So it will sort of like hold your motherboard a little bit nicer while you screw it in and stuff, so that's actually quite nice. I don't know what you call them, but yeah, you know, those sort of little things. They're more in those premium Corsair cases and what have you, but it's not quite the same, but it will hold the motherboard a little bit while you screw it in, so that's fine. But yeah, for £40 I think we've got a flip PC case here, which will be alright. My only worry, as I think will be the concern here, although the case does look very good and once it's built it'll be fine, I do think the cable management, I looked on the box just now and it says 17mm actually, so it's even less than I thought for the cable management size clearance. So you are going to have to be pretty decent at cable management to actually get a decent job here. So just a warning to you guys, if you're not so confident on your cable management, you might need to look at a different case that gives you a little bit extra. To be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed it's only 17mm now. I didn't actually know that before I brought the case, because really you kind of need a little bit more, don't you guys, I think. So yeah, I think it's possible. I think you're just going to have to be wary of what power supply you use and what cabling you use. I certainly think extensions are probably out of the question with this case, because it's just going to get too messy here, and it's going to get too difficult to cable management that. So I think certainly I wouldn't go with cable extensions. Just try and get a power supply which is decent in terms of the 24 pin is quite sort of thin, or like the sort of like more thinner cables rather than the big thick 24 pin cables, which are going to be a bit of a nightmare to route into this case. But it could be done, and I certainly think if you're capable in your cable management, you're confident in your cable management skills, it can be done, and you can get a nice you'll be able to put the panel on nicely and it will look nice at the front. So that's what matters really, because the back doesn't really matter about the case, does it? It's all about the front. So yeah. But yeah, I do think the fans at the front look really nice, and the glass is going to really bring that out. I might put some B-roll as well of the actual fans running, so that might help you guys. And yeah, I think overall, I think this is a nice little £40 flip build that you could build in, and I do quite like the black colour, and it's got all the modern features that you want, hasn't it? The tempered glass, the power supply shroud, and also the power supply shroud I do like as well. It's not one of those horrible window ones, which is really annoying. Certainly in a budget case, this is actually a full blanked out one, which was one thing that I really was drawn to with this case when I initially saw it. The CiT Level 1 this is. So yeah, I think overall we'll be able to get a nice little build from this, a nice little budget build, and and that will be on the channel as well. So please like the video for the YouTube algorithm. Please leave a comment if you want on what you think of this case, or any other comments that you have on this case, and please subscribe to my future videos. And you know, thanks for the last year of 2024, guys, and it's been, you know, been a little bit rocky here and there and what have you, but we have grown the channel, and I do think things in 2025 will grow further and further. So I hope you're along for the journey, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.